everyone. Welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and this is another roster review, this time for DarkRoad from Row. Shout out to you guys. What's happening? This is another roster review of one of your guys' players. Excellent team. You're doing wonderful, DarkRoad. You are a bit of a dolphin. You've spent some money here and there. You're not spending a ridiculous amount of money, but you are spending money in the game. You're investing because you love it, and you've been playing for over a year, but off and on, and you kind of started out and then you kind of quit, and then you started and you kind of quit and you started again, and that's kind of put you behind the curve in your arena rank. You've spent some money, and really with what you've spent, you probably should be top 10, but because of the breaks that you've taken, it's put you a little behind. I know the biggest thing you said is that you're having a hard time finding mods that have high speed, so you're wanting to know what to do about having not as many good speed mods, and there's two ways about it. One, continue to farm mods and try to find those mods with speed secondaries, buy them out of the store with credits, and then the third is to build a team composition that kind of allows for you to have a slightly slower team. And one of those team compositions would be the Darth Maul and Sith Assassin combo, and I've looked, and you do have a pretty decent Sith team. And the other is having like an auto taunter in there that's going to help absorb that initial blow from the other team. And then the third would be having somebody that gives you a turn meter, someone like Rex or Stormtrooper Han, but preferably Rex as lead, so that way every time you take a critical hit, anybody takes a critical hit, everybody gets turn meter. So those are some ways that you could go around it. As far as the existing arena team you currently have now, you have Darth Vader, and you have him Zetaed, and then you have Emperor Palpatine, TIE Fighter Pilot, and you've got two tanks. It's probably pretty frustrating to fight you with these two tank combos with Baze and with Royal Guard, but what happens when you do two tanks is it takes away your ability to have a little bit more punch and get a little higher in the arena ranks. So if you're wanting to get a little bit higher, a couple suggestions for the existing setup you have now would be Jedi Knight Anakin in replace of Royal Guard. And the reason for that is Jedi Knight Anakin's kind of the offensive version of Royal Guard. He's going to put buff immunity down. He's got an AoE, but he's going to do a lot of damage as an attacker. And anytime somebody falls, below health or dies, he's going to get extra turns and do 75% more damage. So I would swap out Royal Guard for Jedi Knight Anakin. Another option is you could take out TIE Fighter Pilot and Royal Guard and put in your Biggs and Wedge, because your Biggs and Wedge are fast, and they're going to do a lot of damage, and you've got an auto taunter in Baze to kind of keep them alive for a longer period of time. So just a thought. Those are a couple of ways you could mix around your arena team. The other thing you could do is go full Sith. It's always fun to go full Sith, and you have the Sith to do it. You got a couple you've got to develop. I've got a list of 7 characters you're going to want to put in your favorites and work, but I do have a couple of suggestions on teams. You wanted to know about some teams that you should work on for slower team compositions, and so let's go ahead and go into that. The first that I'm going to recommend, there's one of two. One is going to be an R1 team, a Rogue One team, and the reason for that is the Rebel team. They're all relatively fast. They're all faster than average, and then of course you don't need to add as much speed with that. You've got Jen, and you're working on her. You've got Chirrut and Baze, and you also have Cassian and K2SO. So you have all 5 for a full Rogue One squad. They're excellent. You could use them in the heroic AAT tank raid. They're fun in arena, but they all need quite a bit of work right now, and I know that's because they've just recently become farmable, but I would put them as one of 2 teams that I would work on. So I would work on those 5, and then you can decide whether you want to work on them more or these guys more, but these would be the top 2 teams I'd focus on. Since you do spend a little bit of money, doing a Rogue One team makes sense, and a Sith team makes sense, because you're going to have that ability to buy the occasional piece of gear in the store. So your Sith look really good. You've got Darth Maul, Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader. Now your Darth Maul is not Zetaed, so currently I would not use him as a leader, but if you were to Zeta him, you could have Emperor Palpatine behind him, Darth Nihilus behind him, and Sith Assassin, and then someone like maybe Savage as your Dispeller. Or you could use Darth Sidious to cause some mayhem with Expose, or you could use your Darth Vader because he's uber tanky, and he would be one of those characters just absolutely irritating on the other side, hard to kill. So you've got a lot of options, but the secret with this team is Sith Assassin with a Darth Maul lead. And the reason for that is Darth Maul is going to give everybody turn meter automatically, and then Sith Assassin's a naturally fast character with that additional turn meter and a few speed mods. Your whole team will essentially go first, and that will enable you to do what you want to do to the opponent. The only weakness on this team really is a Dispeller, because they get, or a Cleanser, because they get a lot of damage, a lot of debuffs themselves because of what they're facing in the arena right now. And so Savage is really the only cleanser in the whole bunch, essentially. And he's got to be Zetaed to really be a good cleanser. Otherwise, he just becomes a punching bag for the team, which is okay. But until he's Zetaed, I would recommend running probably Darth Maul, Emperor Palpatine, and Darth Vader, Darth Nihilus, and then Sith Assassin to speed your team up and put your very best speed mods on Sith Assassin. So there you go. There's a idea for Arena and who you need to focus on. Now, obviously, your Sith Assassin and Darth Nihilus are not very high, so that leads me into the next part, which is what 7 characters would I recommend you focus on. The first 2 are Darth Nihilus and Sith Assassin, and that is because they're in here. They make sense to level up for the team that you want to do, and you have, like I said, a little bit of time to do that, and you can focus on them or the Rogue One Rebels. But for the 7 individual characters I'm going to recommend, aside from the Sith and the Rogue One teams, I would still do Sith Assassin and Darth Nihilus no matter what. They're both excellent characters. Let's go ahead and go into Jedi, because I've got a couple other Jedi I would like to recommend. And obviously, these are going to be pretty simple or pretty obvious, but General Kenobi and Aayla Secura are both down in the 6 and 7 gear range, and you are going to want to gear both of them up all the way. Aayla Secura is one of the top 5 Jedi, and so is General Kenobi, so you'll want to get them maxed out and to gear 11 as best as possible. You can pair them up with, Qui-Gon Jinn, Ahsoka Tano, and Jedi Knight Anakin, or you could pull Qui-Gon Jinn and put Barriss in there, but they're going to do a ton of damage. They're going to be great for phase 1 of the heroic AAT, and you really want to get General Kenobi and Aayla Secura. So those are 2 more. You got 2 Sith and 2 Jedi to work on. I'd put these 4 in your favorites tab and work on them. The last 3 are kind of random. One is going to be under droids, and it is your B2 Super Battle Droid. I would highly recommend getting your B2 Super Battle Droid put in your favorites and farming him up and gearing him up. He is going to be crucial for you. He's one of the few characters that have been absolutely critical for the last 6 months in every meta that's been placed in front of us. So I would recommend getting your B2 up there as fast as possible. Also, another fun side project that you can do is your Rex. Your Rex is only gear 7, so I would gear him up, and surprisingly, Rex is pretty easy to gear 10, so that is exciting. So definitely focus on Rex. Now, Rex is awesome because he's one of the best leaders in the game. He's absolutely the best cleanser in the game, unequivocally the best cleanser in the game, and he also is one of those characters that you need because you talked about needing mods and slower team compositions. You can have a team that's super slow, and if he's the leader, as long as you're not going against a Darth Nihilus lead, essentially your opponent will feed you so much turn meter through critical hits that your team will be faster than their team. So Rex, hyper important, especially if you don't have all those super speed mods that you're needing to compete. So I would highly recommend Rex as well as B2. And the last one is kind of floating out there as a random guy. That's Sun Fac, both for his ship, because his ship is excellent, and I have a strategy with his ship I want to talk to you about. And then second is Sun Fac's one of the best tanks in the game. So you've got some random characters to put into your favorites to work on. I'd say B2, Rex, Sun Fac, Aayla Secura, General Kenobi, Darth Nihilus, and Sith Assassin. And then focus on your Rogue One Rebels and your Sith just to try to get them up. And that's kind of exciting that you can do that because, again, gear is the only thing I would spend crystals on. And I would spend if you were to buy crystals, use it only for gear. And then the crystals that you're earning each day, I would use them for the energy refreshes for anything that you're farming for. Now let's move over to your fleet arena, and it looks really good. You're using Home 1. That's an excellent ship choice. You're in the top 100, so that's excellent. And you even have the TIE Advanced, which is Darth Vader's ship, which is pretty amazing. So I thought of 3 attackers that would be really fun together. That would be the Scimitar, the TIE Advanced, and your Imperial TIE Fighter right here. The Imperial TIE Fighter, TIE Advanced, and Scimitar all can do a target lock, so you're just going to destroy the other team as far as the target lock goes. And so those are a great 3 combo, but those 3 are, especially the Scimitar and the TIE Advanced, easy to kill. So you'll want to do a 2-tank combo, and you'll want to use Biggs and Sunfac. And what will happen is between Biggs and Sunfac, your opponent will not be able to get through to your Scimitar, TIE Advanced, and your Imperial TIE Fighter, and that'll allow for them to do the damage that they're looking at doing. Now you should have 2 slots in backup, which would allow for you to have 2 more ships. I would recommend Wedge as the first one. He can come in and really do heavy damage, especially if things are target locked, which they should by now. And so he can do, 50 to 100,000 damage and finish off a ship pretty quickly. The second is Slave 1. Slave 1 would come in last, and by this time, everyone, if not all of them, will have target lock, and Slave 1 will be able to immediately use his second ability, doing AoE damage to most, if not all. Now, you can mix up Wedge and Slave 1 if you'd like, to see which one comes in off the bench a little harder hitting, to see how it works, but I would take Geonosian Soldier out of there. And I would definitely put in your Scimitar that you have into there. So those are my suggestions for your ships. You've got a bunch of ships and whatnot. Again, I'd use TIE Advance. I really wouldn't use Jedi Consular with what you have available. I would use your Biggs and Wedge, your Imperial TIE Fighter, Scimitar, Slave 1. I'd give up on Geonosian Soldier for now and move in Sunfac into your lineup, and then eventually down the road it would be really fun or really cool to have Poe Dameron's ship. It's a super heavy hitting ship that's got foresight that you could bring in as your 3rd backup when you get your Admiral Akbar's ship leveled up a little bit higher. So hopefully this helps you. I cannot wait to get feedback from you as to how you're doing with what you're farming, but it looks like right now you're on pretty good track. Make sure you're getting gear only out of the store. You got great teams. Focus on Sith and Rogue One, but also those 7 I also told you on the side, which is B2, Rex, Sunfac, Ayla, General Kenobi, Darth Nihilus, and Sith Assassin. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.